Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians, and the comedy industry. Rob Schneider has jumped on social media to clarify his comments about the mandatory draft. He posted, "You are missing the point in all caps. Schneider's theory, if nobody is exempt from military service, then poor and wealthy families alike would have a shared military connection. Don't worry, Rob, someone will be exempt and it won't be the poor." Schneider said Congress would think long and hard before sending American troops into another faraway war that isn't vital to our national survival. Rob. Are you paying attention to the news? Do you think Congress does anything about anything? Do you think Congress isn't going to figure out a way so their kids don't have to go? Come on, man. Rob said, no more cavalier decisions. No more other people's kids dying while their own kids stay safe at Ivy League schools or in Beverly Hills. Schneider said, then the nation might stop treating its military like disposable chess pieces. I'm with you there, Rob, but yeah. Let me know when Congress does anything. Jon Stewart ripped into the President of the United States. Not over the war, no. Jon Stewart was more interested in the White House Ballroom project, which it seems increasingly clear is just a cover story for a new bunker being built. The New York Times had reported over the weekend that designs for the ballroom show fake windows on the north side and columns that would block the interior ballroom view. There's also a grand staircase that does not lead to an entrance. Jon Stewart on The Daily Show said, okay, woke New York Times, when MC Escher does that, it's art. Oh, but you put it on an actual building and suddenly this doesn't make any sense, and I appear to be trapped. A few hours after the Times report, President Trump spoke to the press. He was on Air Force One. He told reporters, I'm fighting wars and other things, but this is very important because this is going to be with us for a long time, and I think it'll be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. Jon Stewart responded to that and said for the ballroom, Trump will put in an all-nighter for a point-by-point rebuttal, but for the war, he literally doesn't have the focus to answer one question. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said, President Trump and his lead architect have built world-class buildings around the world, and they're ensuring the People's House finally has a beautiful ballroom that's been needed for decades at no expense to the taxpayer. Remember that last part there? Whitney Cummings, she's getting political. She was guest hosting The View. She was discussing how FBI Director Kash Patel's emails had been leaked. She said, if Kash wanted his emails not to get released, he should have just CC'd Jeffrey Epstein on them. That is a great line and a great point. Moving away from politics, finally, John, Billboard has published the February box score report to see who the top touring comedians were for February 2026. Do you want to guess? Yes, you were correct. Number one again, Nate Bargatze. He has led for 6 of the last 7 months. The only month he wasn't number one was in December when John Mulaney took the crown. Number 2, Joe Coy. 3, Cat Williams. 4, Bert Kreischer. 5, Jim Gaffigan. Andrew Schulz, who once appeared in the headline in the New York Times, June 23rd, 2025, Andrew Schulz might be America's foremost political journalist. That's right, the New York Times said Andrew Schulz might be America's foremost political journalist. This is a real thing that happened in the New York Times. I know you're like, John, it's April Fool's Day. No one is going to believe that's a story that appeared in the New York Times. They're not crazy. No, I'm telling you, this is not an April Fool's joke. On June 23rd, 2025, they wrote the headline, Andrew Schulz might be America's foremost political journalist. He also, I'll add, might be America's foremost actor. That's right. He's going to appear in a new film. It's called Clashing Through the Snow. It's described as planes, trains, and automobiles for the Gen Z generation. It centers on 2 rival co-workers at a book publisher who are forced to travel cross-country when bad weather grounds all available flights. They should just rewrite this and say the TSA lines are 14 hours long and they decide to drive. No? Yes. Andrew Schulz, possibly America's greatest political journalist, will play Walter, a janitor with a close personal connection to the character played by Christopher Briney, who is a Type A commerce-focused editor. Zarna Garg plays Gail, whose unexpected guidance steers a character played by Michelle Randolph, a creative free-thinking editor, in a pivotal direction during the trip. Sounds very complicated. Can't wait for it. Macpacker Andy Samberg, he will star in 42.6 Years, a romantic comedy. Samberg was originally going to star opposite Jean Smart. Jean has now pulled out of it and has been replaced by 5-time Oscar nominee Annette Bening. In 42.6 Years, we follow Ben, played by Macpacker Andy Samberg, who, after an experimental procedure leaves him cryogenically frozen for 42.6 years, sets out to reconnect with his ex-girlfriend, played by Annette Bening. He hasn't aged a day. She's lived an entire lifetime without him. John Mulaney was a guest on The Late Show with Star Trek ruiner Stephen Colbert. Mulaney told a story about visiting Graceland. As the story goes, John Mulaney says his son Malcolm, who's 4, is a huge fan of Elvis Presley because of course he is. John said, and I said to him, do you want to get a tour of Elvis's house? And he was like, Elvis house? Awesome. Mulaney says, we're walking through and the guide goes, we're going to show you some special spots because you're performing here at Graceland. My son goes, I want to go on the roof. They weren't able to visit the roof. However, they were able to visit Elvis's jungle room. Mulaney said, we're looking around and Malcolm goes, Dad, can I meet Elvis now? It had never come up while listening to Hound Dog. You don't go, son, you know this guy's dead, right? Then I realized all his grandparents are alive and he's never had a goldfish and he doesn't know. He's about to find out in the jungle room at Graceland that everybody dies. Mulaney explained to his son, Elvis is in heaven now. His son said, why? John Mulaney, as he tells the story, said, sometimes when people are in their early 40s and they have a job and a schedule a lot like Daddy and some of the same issues as Daddy, they go to the bathroom and they go to heaven. Wow, that's pretty good. Eddie Murphy, winner of the 51st AFI Life Achievement Award. Well, Netflix will televise the 51st AFI Life Achievement Award, a tribute to Eddie Murphy on Netflix May 31st. The award will be presented to Eddie Murphy in LA on April 18th. According to the AFI, Eddie Murphy is the most commercially successful African-American actor in the history of the motion picture business and is one of the industry's top 5 box office performers overall. W. Kamau Bell, Melissa Villaseñor, and Joel Kim Booster are going to perform in San Francisco. They'll be at the Immigration Institute of the Bay Area, hosting the 10th Annual Comedy Night for Immigrant Rights. April 30th is that event. Wanda Sykes was on Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne said, the thing I used to love about the Chris Rock show, it was just full of uncomfortable truths. Even that whole era was full of uncomfortable truths, right? Do you think comedy's still allowed to be that honest? Are we in an era now where everybody wants jokes, but they don't want the truth that comes with it? Wanda said, no, you know what? I think you're allowed to do it, but it's just who wants to do it. You know what I'm saying? If I'm trying to fill an arena, you know what I'm saying. You can't be that common. You got to appeal to the masses. And sometimes right now what the masses want to hear, it's ugly, you know? Want to continue. A lot of people like to be the critic. They want to be the police. It's like if you say something and it might offend you, but you got to look at where that person's coming from, you know? Maybe their life, their perspective is different from what you know. Yeah, you're offended. If you're not standing in my shoes, you don't see it from my perspective. So I think that's what we've gotten away from. I always try to punch up, but that's me. However, she said, if you punch down and it's funny, I'm going to laugh. Apparently, the Shepherd Express is your home for comedy news. We've got back-to-back stories from the Shepherd Express. In story number 1, they caught up with Maria Bamford. She said, I think I have a tremor, and it makes everything seem like I'm nervous, but I don't feel nervous. I just look like I'm afraid. Bamford said, I need to entertain myself, so that's a challenge, to keep myself from being bored. She also added, my friendship with my sister, I stopped doing jokes about her, and now we're best friends. Next thing Maria Bamford would love to accomplish, I'd love to be on a TV show for 5 lines a week in a wig. Meanwhile, Jackie Cation also caught up with the Shepherd Express. Jackie said, growing up, she wasn't thinking of being a comedian. She said, I wanted to act, I think. I certainly played a lot of, what if Fonzie was on the Starship Enterprise and acted out all the parts? I'd watch that. I vaguely remember answering that I wanted to be a lawyer or a teacher or forest ranger when asked. I went to UW-Madison. There was a comedy club. We went to it. I went to open mic 3 weeks after seeing the show, and I was hooked. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like I'd been looking for stand-up forever. She recalls a night in 1984. She went to a Madison comedy club, got drunk, heckled the comedian on stage, and he couldn't shut me up. And sadly, for the rest of the audience, I wasn't kicked out. The club manager came over and said, open mic is on Sundays. Now will you shut up? And I did. The comic I heckled, Sam Kinison. How could Sam Kinison not shut you down? That seems hard to believe. I'm not going to pull a punch. That seems hard to believe that Sam Kinison couldn't slam a heckler. Jackie said, comedy right now, it's crazy out in the world, and there are 2 kinds of comedy I like seeing now. Very open about the things we're all living through, mostly to relieve the pressure and to make people know they aren't alone or crazy. The other kind of comedy is just normal driving, family, food, and relationship material, which is the kind of fun comedy you just keep writing no matter what the situation. TJ Miller keeps talking about the next Deadpool film. I think he wants to get back into that franchise. Supposedly, Ryan Reynolds told TJ Miller about it. TJ said, I'll say his idea for the next Deadpool film is like really good. You know, it's really smart. He told me the idea. I kind of got hair on the back of my neck standing up because I was just like, I didn't think you could do something that's even more different than Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't know what's going to happen because he's got a couple other projects going. I mean, I always liked him, and I always thought he's the funniest. I mean, what are you going to say? Hey, Ryan, that's a terrible idea. I hate your idea for the Deadpool movie. I don't want to be in it. DJ said, Ryan is really a powerhouse in terms of the comedy, and specifically Deadpool. He's come to be a real friend, and he's had our back, and I've tried to have his, because, I mean, the internet is just such an evil, cruel place. It's so despicable. And let's see what's happening in Melbourne. So I have to work a day ahead for you Americans, because the listeners down under, by the time they get the show, if I'm not working a day ahead, they're going to be like, yeah, thanks, John. That show started 30 minutes ago. So Thursday at 11:30 in the morning, it's the Class Clowns National Grand Final. Who will be crowned Australia's funniest high schooler? I like this. A month-long search for the country's brightest young comedy talent. Class Clowns is a national secondary school comedy competition inviting young people to unleash their creative talents through stand-up, sketch, musical comedy, or physical performance. And then if you need something at night, how about 6 p.m.? Good time for a show. We can see a show and go home and go to bed. That's great. It's Australia's Funniest Lawyers, featuring a lineup of criminal prosecutors, barristers, government regulators, and corporate solicitors who, as you can tell, are the funniest people in the world with those jobs. We are told the lawyers turned comedians in this lineup have won and been nominated for numerous prestigious festival awards, appeared on TV, and have sold out festival shows nationally and internationally. That's right, it's America's Funniest Lawyers. Oh, wait, Comedy Survivor, forgot to tell you. It looks like Sebastian Maniscalco is in massive, massive trouble as I've been skimming the Facebook group. Looks like he's going to go. So if you're like, well, I want to save Sebastian Maniscalco, I would get about 12 of your friends to vote for somebody else. But whoever you guys want to vote it off is fine with me. What you do is you go to the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group, and you'll find the little drawing there, and you'll see a bunch of people have written the words Sebastian and Maniscalco, and then you and your 12 friends are going to want to jump in there and write down some other name. And that is your comedy news for today. See you tomorrow.